Victoria Sinclair slid a $7 restaurant voucher across my mahogany desk like she was presenting me with the deed to a brand new estate. It was written in a bright purple marker, with a bubbly handwritten message that read, "Appreciate the little things," capped off with a tiny cheerful smiley face next to her initials, VS. I am Arthur Vance, 55 years old, and I sat there staring at that cheap piece of laminated paper for exactly 4 seconds. Long enough to remember sleeping on my office sofa on Tuesday night because we were coordinating a global database migration across 4 continents. Long enough to recall the brutal 91-hour workweeks my team and I had put in for 3 straight months to secure a record-breaking $267 million quarter. Long enough to listen to the dull ache in my lower back, a constant reminder that my 55-year-old body was telling me this corporate grind was no longer sustainable. I looked up and gave Victoria a slow, warm smile. I was not smiling because I felt appreciated. I was smiling because at that exact moment, Victoria had just handed me the key to walk away from 20 years of my life. But let me go back and explain how I found myself in this office holding a $7 piece of cardboard after delivering the most profitable quarter in company history. For the past 20 years, I have been the Senior Operations and Logistics Director at Vertex Supply Chain Solutions. We write, implement, and maintain the routing algorithms that run shipping lines for global retailers. If you order a pair of boots or a television online, there is a high probability our software calculated the exact container ship, warehouse slot, and delivery truck that brought it to your door. I did not start at the top. I started back in 2006 when Vertex was just a 30-person outfit working out of a renovated warehouse in Denver. I was a junior systems engineer making $45,000 a year and spending my nights writing raw code. Over the next 15 years, I watched the company grow to 2,500 employees. I was the guy who built our core proprietary routing engine from scratch. I did not just manage the department, I architected the actual logic that made Vertex a market leader. It is a highly specialized piece of mathematics that optimizes cargo weight and fuel consumption in real time, and I patented that algorithm under my own name back in 2012, licensing it to Vertex under a personal agreement. Logistics operations is thankless work. When everything goes right, nobody knows we exist. Packages arrive on time, shelves are stocked, and the sales team drinks champagne in the boardroom. But when operations cracks, the whole world notices. If a system goes down for 10 minutes, ships sit idle in ports, trucks are delayed, and the company loses millions. My old boss, Donald Ross, understood this perfectly. Donald was 58 when he retired, an old-school Marine who had spent 3 decades in military logistics before joining Vertex. He was a man of few words, but he knew the value of people. He protected our department from the corporate suits who wanted to cut budgets. He was like a shield, ensuring we had the headcount, the tools, and the respect we needed. Donald always told me, "Arthur, operations is the foundation of the house. Nobody looks at the foundation when the sun is shining, but if it cracks, the roof falls in." For 18 years, Donald and I made sure that foundation never cracked. We ran a tight, efficient shop. We worked late when a client system crashed, and we spent holidays on call. But Donald made sure our efforts were recognized in our paychecks, our bonuses, and our career paths. Then, 18 months ago, Donald retired, and the board hired Victoria Sinclair. Victoria was 31, carried a Harvard MBA, had spent 2 years at a prestigious consulting firm, and possessed absolutely zero understanding of how real-world logistics actually work. She was sharp, dressed in designer suits, and spoke entirely in corporate jargon. Her first all-hands meeting was a blur of efficiency metrics, paradigm shifts, leveraging synergy, and data-driven optimization. She did not ask a single question about our team's experience or our existing code bases. She did not ask why we structured our database queries the way we did. Instead, she spent the meeting outlining her vision to modernize our department. After the meeting, she called me into her office. "Arthur," she said, showing a row of perfect white teeth, "I have reviewed your file. Your institutional knowledge is impressive. I am going to need you to be my anchor as we transition this department into a lean, modern machine." What she really meant was that she was going to tear down everything that worked to look good for the board, and she needed me to make sure the building did not collapse while she did it. I tried to be patient. I told myself that everyone deserves a chance to learn. I spent hours walking her through our client agreements. I explained the difference between a shipping API and the custom, high-frequency integrations we handled for our top 10 retail partners. I showed her the early warning systems I had built to detect server overloads. She nodded, took notes on her tablet, and smiled. I thought maybe, just maybe, we could find a balance, but then she started optimizing. She decided we needed real-time performance dashboards. She wanted to see daily transaction speeds, individual coordinator performance, and minute-by-minute system health. The problem was that our infrastructure was built for weekly stability audits, not constant reporting. Creating these dashboards meant my team had to manually pull data from 5 separate platforms and validate it every morning. That was a 2-hour job that added no value to our clients, but gave Victoria beautiful charts to show the executives. When I raised this issue in our weekly planning session, she looked at me with clinical detachment. We need to work smarter, not harder, Arthur. This is about visibility and accountability. If your team is struggling, we need to look at process optimization, not headcount. Within 3 months, the extra workload took a toll. 2 of my most experienced systems engineers resigned, taking jobs with competitors who did not require them to run 3 dashboards a day. Victoria refused to approve budget for replacements. She claimed their departures were a natural attrition that would allow us to run a leaner, more agile operation. She simply redistributed their workloads to the remaining 5 coordinators, expecting the same uptime, the same speed, and the same absolute reliability. By the end of the year, my standard 50-hour workweek had vanished. I was averaging 80 hours. My team was exhausted, surviving on coffee and adrenaline. I was the one staying until midnight to handle custom client deployments because we no longer had the staff to cover the night shifts. And then came the third quarter, the one that would define the company's financial year. The transition from a highly functional operations team to a high-stress reporting factory happened so gradually that none of us realized we were drowning until we were already underwater. Victoria Sinclair did not care about the actual mechanics of moving data. She cared about how the data looked on a chart. Every Monday morning at 8 a.m., my remaining team of 5 coordinators and I had to sit in her conference room and watch her project a metrics dashboard onto the wall. Every cell was color-coded. Green meant we met her arbitrary targets, yellow meant warning, and red meant we had to draft a 3-page corrective action plan. The problem was that the yellow and red cells were almost always the result of her own decisions. By refusing to hire replacements for the 3 coordinators who had resigned, she'd cut our capacity by nearly 40%. Yet our client volume was increasing as the sales team closed new contracts for the Q3 push. We were running a $267 million operation with a skeleton crew, and instead of letting us focus on keeping the servers online, Victoria demanded we spend 15 hours a week compiling reports to explain why we were running behind. I remember sitting in my office at 10:30 p.m. on a Thursday, staring at a spreadsheet of server response times. My eyes were so bloodshot that the numbers on the screen were starting to blur together. I was 55 years old, and my knees ached from sitting in that cheap mesh chair for 14 hours. My doctor had already warned me that my blood pressures was in the red zone, and I was taking 2 different pills every morning just to keep my heart from pounding out of my chest. You might wonder why a man with 2 decades of experience and a solid reputation did not just throw his security badge on Victoria's desk and walk away. The truth is written in my bank account every month. At 55, I was the sole financial pillar for 3 generations of my family. First, there was the alimony. My divorce from Sophia 5 years ago had been clean, but expensive. I paid her $3,200 on the first of every month, a legal obligation that would continue for another 3 years. Then, there were my children. Olivia was in her 2nd year at Columbia Law School in New York, pursuing her dream of becoming a corporate attorney. Her tuition and living expenses came to $72,000 a year. Liam was a junior studying chemical engineering at UC Berkeley, which cost another $44,000 annually. I was determined that my children would graduate without a single dollar of student debt, even if it meant working myself to the bone. But the heaviest weight was my father, Henry. He was 81, and his mind was slipping away. The Parkinson's had started affecting his memory, and he could no longer live alone in his small house in the suburbs. I had to move him into a specialized memory care facility in Denver. It was a beautiful place with private gardens and 24-hour nursing staff, but it cost $5,500 every single month. When you add up $3,200 in alimony, $5,500 for senior care, and nearly $10,000 a month for college tuition and living expenses, my $195,000 salary was not luxury. It was a lifeline. I was trapped in a cage of gold and responsibility, and Victoria knew it. Or rather, she did not care. Because to her, I was just a resource line on a spreadsheet. The personal cost of keeping that lifeline began to pile up. I was physically present at Vertex, but I was completely absent from the lives of the people I was working to support. Olivia called me one evening to tell me about her contracts class. She was excited, talking about a landmark case regarding intellectual property rights. I listened for 3 minutes before my second phone buzzed with an alert that our primary East Coast data center was experiencing a routing loop. I cut her off. "Olivia, I have to go," I said. "We have a system emergency. I will call you back this weekend." I did not call her back. I forgot. Liam sent me a message asking if I could look over his chemistry paper on fluid dynamics. I flagged the email to read on Saturday, but Saturday was spent in the office coordinating a database patch. By the time I remembered, it was Tuesday, and he had already submitted it. The worst moment came when the care director at my father's facility called me on a Friday afternoon. "Mr. Vance," she said, her voice gentle but firm, "we had an incident last night. Henry tried to leave the building at midnight. He had packed a small bag and was looking for the bus stop. He kept saying he had to get to the warehouse to help Arthur with the shipping logs. He was very confused, and he asked why you hadn't visited him." I sat at my desk, holding the phone, and felt a cold wave of shame wash over me. I had not visited my father in 3 weeks, even though his facility was only a 20-minute drive from my house. I was too tired. On the weekends, I slept for 12 hours straight, waking up only to check the system monitors and reply to Victoria's urgent emails about minor metrics. I was sacrificing my father's final years and my children's trust for a company that measured my value by the number of green cells on a monitor. I told myself it was temporary. I told myself that once the Q3 quarter ended and we delivered the numbers the board wanted, Victoria would have to recognize that the team was at its breaking point. I believed the record revenue would force her to hire help. It was a foolish hope, but it was the only thing that kept me driving to work every morning at 5 a.m. The third quarter was not a sprint. It was a 12-week siege. Our sales department had signed 4 new national retailers, promising them instant database integration and zero transition latency. In plain English, they had sold a massive house without checking if the plumbing could handle the water. My remaining team of 5 coordinators, and I had to build the pipes while the water was already rushing through them. During those 12 weeks, my time tracking app recorded an average of 91 hours per week. I was the first one in the parking lot at 5 a.m., and my truck was often the only one left under the security lights at midnight. We practically lived on lukewarm pepperoni pizza and stale coffee from the break room. I kept a toothbrush and a spare change of clothes in my lower desk drawer. Tuesday nights became a blur of deployment checklists, server pings, and database optimization logs. If one query ran 2 seconds too slow, a shipping terminal in New Jersey would back up, and a line of 50 delivery trucks would stall. We did not let that happen. My team performed miracles. We patched code on the fly, rerouted network traffic during peak hours, and manually validated shipping logs when the API connections lagged. Our uptime for the entire quarter was 99.98%. On Thursday at midnight, the quarter officially closed. The finance department spent Friday morning running the final tallies. At 11 a.m., the email from the CEO went out to the entire company. Vertex had processed a record-breaking $267 million in transaction volume and licensing revenue for the quarter. We were 34% above our maximum target. It was the highest-grossing quarter in the company's 20-year history. At 2 p.m., we had the official celebration in the third-floor break room. On a long folding table sat 3 boxes of cupcakes with bright blue frosting, topped with the Vertex corporate logo printed on edible paper. Victoria Sinclair stood next to the boxes, looking immaculate in a tailored gray suit. She tapped her glass with a plastic spoon to gather everyone's attention. "We did it, team," she said, her voice filled with practiced enthusiasm. "This quarter is a testament to our organizational agility and our commitment to operational excellence. We have driven metrics across all verticals and leveraged our core synergies to deliver a truly historic result for our stakeholders. Let us keep this momentum going as we head into the next planning cycle." There was polite applause. People grabbed their cupcakes and drifted back to their desks. I took a bite of my cupcake, The frosting was too sweet and the cake was dry, tasting of cardboard and food coloring. There was no mention of bonuses. There was no announcement of new hires to ease the burden on my exhausted team. There was only blue sugar and corporate buzzwords. On Monday afternoon, Victoria's assistant sent me a calendar invite for a 15-minute sync in her office. I walked down the hall feeling a quiet sense of anticipation. I thought that now the numbers were locked in. Victoria would finally have the leverage to get the board to approve the budget for the 3 open positions in our department. I was ready to present a detailed staffing plan to bring our hours back to a sane 45 hours a week. When I entered her office, Victoria was sitting behind her glass desk. On her right sat a neat stack of glossy branded cards. I recognized them as promotional vouchers from a local lunch spot called Metro Cafe Network, a corporate chain that served overpriced sandwiches and coffee that tasted like wet paper. "Arthur," she said, her face lighting up with a warm corporate smile, "please sit down. I wanted to personally connect with you today to express my gratitude for your leadership during the Q3 push." "Thank you, Victoria," I said, sitting in the leather chair. "The team worked incredibly hard. We kept the systems running at near-perfect capacity despite the volume." "Indeed," she said. "And that is why I wanted to give you this." She picked up a purple felt-tip marker from her desk organizer, uncapped it, and pulled the top card off the stack. I watched her write on the back of the card in a neat, loopy hand. I could read the words as she wrote them, "Appreciate the little things." Next to her message, she drew a tiny, cheerful smiley face and signed her initials, VS. She slid the voucher across the glass desk. It made a soft scraping sound and stopped right next to my hands. It was a $7 voucher. I looked at the number. $7. At Metro Cafe, a basic turkey sandwich cost $12. A black coffee and a dry bran muffin cost $8. This voucher did not even cover the cost of a basic breakfast, let alone a proper lunch. "These are just small tokens of appreciation," Victoria said, gesturing to the stack of vouchers. "I wanted to add a personal touch for the leaders who really drove our success. It is important to acknowledge individual contributions, don't you think?" I looked from the voucher up to Victoria's face. Her smile was completely genuine. She was not trying to mock me. She was not being passive-aggressive. She was simply completely and utterly oblivious to the reality of the situation. In her mind, this $7 piece of paper, marked with a purple smiley face, was a masterclass in modern, empathetic leadership for 91-hour work weeks, for 20 years of building the core infrastructure of the company, for keeping $267 million of revenue flowing without a single critical failure, for sacrificing my relationship with my children and missing the final lucid moments of my father's life. My compensation was a $7 discount on an overpriced sandwich. I picked up the voucher, feeling its smooth laminate between my fingers. "You are absolutely right, Victoria," I said, letting a slow, calm smile spread across my face. "I really should start appreciating the little things." "Excellent," she said, visibly pleased with herself. "I knew I could count on your perspective, Arthur. You are a true team player." I walked back to my desk, sat down, and placed the voucher next to my keyboard. The office was quiet, save for the clicking of keys and the hum of the air conditioning. I opened my laptop and loaded the slide deck I was preparing for the Board of Directors meeting next week. Slide 4 was our Q3 operational summary. It had a clean, professional graph showing our $267 million in processed volume next to our 98% uptime. I turned on our office flatbed scanner. I placed the $7 voucher face down on the glass. The machine hummed, its green light bar sweeping across the purple marker and the smiley face, converting it into a crisp digital image. I went back to slide 4. I resized the graph to take up the left half of the screen. On the right half, I inserted the image of the scanned voucher, making sure Victoria's handwritten note and the smiley face were perfectly legible. I did not add any angry text or sarcastic captions. I simply put the two facts side by side. On the left, $267 million in revenue. On the right, a $7 token of appreciation. I saved the file and closed my laptop. That evening, I did not check the server monitors. I shut down my computer, left the office at 6:30 p.m. and drove straight to a quiet restaurant near my house. I ordered a hot steak, drank a glass of water, and called my daughter. Olivia was 23, and she inherited her mother's sharp mind and my analytical patience. She was in her second year at Columbia Law School, and she had spent the last 48 hours reviewing my Vertex employment contract and the licensing agreement for my cargo routing algorithm. "Dad," she said, her voice crackling over the speakerphone, but sharp with a lawyer's focus. "I have gone through Section 8.4 of the Intellectual Property Licensing Agreement you signed with Vertex back in 2012. You were incredibly smart to keep the patent in your own name." I smiled. The patent, registered under U.S. Patent Law 35 U.S.C. Section 271, was my safety net. It protected my mathematical logic for real-time fleet coordination. I had licensed it to Vertex for a nominal fee, but with very specific conditions. "Explain it to me, Olivia," I said, cutting into my steak. Section 8. 4 states that the license is granted to Vertex contingent upon your active employment as a director. If you resign due to constructive discharge, which is defined in the contract as a hostile work environment, systematic understaffing, or forced working hours that exceed industry safety standards and endanger your health, the license terminates automatically within 14 days of your departure. I took a sip of water. "And what does that mean for them?" "It means," Olivia said, "that if you resign under constructive discharge, they have exactly 14 days to completely remove your algorithm from their servers. If they run a single line of your code after that, they are in willful violation of 35 U.S.C. Section 271. In federal court, willful patent infringement carries treble damages. Vertex would have to pay 3 times the value of every transaction processed by their system. For a company that just processed $267 million in a quarter, a patent lawsuit from you would bankrupt them." "And do we have enough to prove constructive discharge?" I asked. Olivia laughed. "Dad, you have documented 91-hour workweeks for 12 weeks. You have medical records showing your doctor put you on blood pressure medication due to work stress. You have emails to Victoria Sinclair begging for resources, and you have her replies refusing to hire replacements. And on top of that, you have a physical scan of a $7 appreciation voucher after delivering a record quarter. That voucher is the perfect exhibit to show a judge the level of disregard and hostility you faced. It is the smoking gun." I sat in the quiet restaurant, looking out the window at the Denver traffic. The tension that had held my shoulders tight for 18 months suddenly evaporated. The golden handcuffs had just been unlocked, and Victoria Sinclair had handed me the key. I spent Tuesday morning at my desk performing my normal duties. I helped my coordinator, Jennifer, resolve a customs data lag for our European clients. I approved a server migration scheduled for next month. I was professional, calm, and quiet. At 3:30 p.m., I opened a new email. In the recipient line, I added CEO Roger Henderson, CO Miriam Wells, and General Counsel Stuart Pierce. I copied Victoria Sinclair and the VP of Human Resources, Linda Reynolds. In the subject line, I typed, "Notice of resignation and patent license termination." I attached a single PowerPoint file. On the left was the official Q3 financial chart showing our $267 million in revenue and 99.98% uptime. On the right was the scanned image of the $7 voucher with Victoria's purple marker smiley face. I began to write the body of the email. "Dear members of the executive team," I wrote. "Effective 14 days from today, I am resigning from my position as Senior Operations and Logistics Director at Vertex Supply Chain Solutions. For 20 years, I have built the operational infrastructure that enables this company to function. This quarter, that infrastructure processed $267 million in revenue. To deliver this result, my team of 5 was forced to work under conditions of extreme overwork. I personally averaged 91 hours per week for 12 consecutive weeks, resulting in documented medical complications and severe physical strain. Despite repeated requests for staffing support, my department was denied resources while our workloads increased. The attached slide summarizes the contrast between the value delivered to Vertex and the appreciation returned. The $7 restaurant voucher, complete with a smiley face, represents the company's evaluation of my 20 years of dedication and operational expertise. Please accept this email as formal notice of constructive discharge due to a hostile and unsafe working environment. Consequently, pursuant to Section 8.4 of the 2012 Intellectual Property Licensing Agreement, the license for my proprietary routing algorithm, registered under U.S. Patent 35 U.S.C. Section 271, will terminate 14 days from my resignation date. Vertex must cease all use of my patented code and remove it from all active servers by 5 p.m. on October 24th. Any continued use of the cargo routing engine past this date will be considered willful patent infringement under federal law, and my legal counsel, Olivia Vance, will file for immediate injunctive relief in federal court. I have left all standard system documentation and operating manuals in the shared drive. My team has been trained to handle daily operations, but they cannot run the core algorithm once the license expires. Thank you for the opportunity to serve Vertex for the past 2 decades, Arthur Vance. I read the email twice. I checked the names of the recipients. I checked the spelling of the laws. Everything was precise, cold, and legally airtight. At 3:47 p.m., I clicked send. The reaction was almost instantaneous. By 3:51 p.m., just 4 minutes after I clicked send, my desk phone began to ring. The caller ID showed the extension for Stuart Pierce, our general counsel. I did not pick up. At 3:54 p.m., my personal cell phone buzzed with an incoming call from CO Miriam Wells. I set it face down on my desk. Around me, the office was quiet, but the atmosphere had shifted. Jennifer looked over from her desk, her eyes wide with shock. Word travels fast in an open-plan office. Marcus from procurement walked past my desk on his way to the break room and gave me a silent, firm thumbs up. Elena from client services caught my eye and mouthed the words, "Good for you," before quickly looking away. I did not make a scene. I did not send a departmental farewell email. The PowerPoint slide had said everything that needed to be said. I simply stood up and began packing my personal belongings into a small cardboard box. I packed the framed photo of Olivia and Liam from our camping trip in the Rockies, the insulated travel mug they had bought me for Father's Day, and my spare reading glasses. I logged out of my computer terminal, walked to the elevator, and pressed the button. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. I stepped inside and turned to look at the department I had spent 20 years building. My team was still typing, still routing cargo, still keeping the company afloat. They were good people, and I felt a pang of sadness for leaving them. But I knew that if I stayed, I would only be enabling the system that was destroying us. I walked out of the lobby and into the crisp October air. The Denver sun was low in the sky, casting long shadows across the parking lot. I was halfway to my truck when I heard the rapid, erratic clicking of heels on the asphalt behind me. "Arthur, wait!" I turned around. Victoria Sinclair was half running toward me. Her usually immaculate appearance was gone. Her hair was messy, her blazer was unbuttoned and slightly askew, and she was breathing heavily. She stopped a few feet from me, trying to catch her breath and reassemble her professional composure. "Arthur," she said, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and panic. "What did you do?" "You sent that email to the entire executive board. Do you have any idea how that makes our department look? Do you understand what you have done to my reputation?" I leaned against the door of my truck and crossed my arms. "It depends on who is reading it, Victoria," I said calmly. "To the CEO, it probably looks like a massive operational risk. To me, it looks like an audit of our reality." "The voucher was a gesture," she protested, her voice rising. "It was symbolic. You know we have strict budget constraints this fiscal year. We cannot simply hand out cash bonuses to everyone." I looked at her and the anger I had felt for months simply dissolved into pity. "Victoria," I said, "I did not ask for a bonus. I asked for resources. I asked for a team that was not forced to work 91 hours a week just to keep the servers online. A 91-hour work week is not a badge of honor. It is a management failure, and you tried to pay for that failure with a $7 piece of cardboard and a purple smiley face." Her cell phone began to buzz in her hand. She glanced down reflexively. I could see the sender's name on the screen, CEO Roger Henderson. The text message read, "Emergency board meeting, conference room A now." She looked back up at me, her face pale. The corporate vocabulary and the MBA confidence had vanished, leaving only a panicked 31-year-old manager who realized she was out of her depth. "HR is drafting an offer right now," she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. "They want to promote you to Vice President of Logistics and Operations. A 20% salary increase. That is $234,000 a year, Arthur, plus equity options. Just come back inside and talk to Miriam and Stuart. We can resolve this." I opened my truck door. "I am not negotiating, Victoria. I am leaving. In 14 days, my resignation is final and my patent license expires. Your developers have exactly 2 weeks to remove my algorithm from your servers." "You cannot just walk away from 20 years, she said, her voice cracking. "Think about your career trajectory. If you leave like this, you will ruin your reputation in this industry." I started the engine of my truck. The motor rumbled to life, a steady, solid sound. "I have 20 years of proven operational results, Victoria," I said. "My reputation will survive. The question you should be asking is whether yours will." I backed out of the space and drove out of the parking lot, leaving her standing under the sodium lights, her phone still buzzing with messages she did not know how to answer. 6 months have passed since that afternoon. I am sleeping 8 hours a night now, and my doctor tells me my blood pressure has returned to the normal range. I took a position as vice president of operations at a mid-sized logistics consultancy. The CFO here is 54 years old. He understands that experience costs money, but he also knows that inexperience costs far more. I have a reasonable schedule, equity in the firm, and something Victoria Sinclair could never offer: genuine respect for the work I do. My daughter Olivia is finishing her second year of law school, and I was actually present to help her move into her new apartment last month. Liam and I have resumed our monthly lunches in Berkeley. My father, Henry, is stable. I visit him 3 times a week, and we spend our afternoons sitting in the facility's garden, listening to the birds and talking about his old days in the merchant marine. As for Vertex, I heard through my industry contacts that they tried to write a new routing algorithm in 2 weeks to replace mine's. They failed. The system crashed twice during the transition, causing millions of dollars in shipping delays. They eventually had to license a third-party software package that cost them 4 times what they paid me, and their processing speed has dropped by 25%. They had to hire 3 new coordinators just to handle the manual errors. They learned the lesson my old boss Donald Ross tried to teach them. Operations is like a foundation. Nobody thinks about it when the sun is shining, but once it cracks, the whole house falls in. If you are sitting at your desk right now, holding your own version of a $7 voucher, whether it's a pizza party after a record quarter, a branded mug, or a purple marker smiley face, pay attention. That token is not a gesture of gratitude, it is a revelation. It tells you exactly how little your leadership understands your worth. Appreciating the little things means knowing when it is time to pack your box and find people who appreciate the big things. Your knowledge, your time, and your irreplaceable human contribution.